Thanks for having us out. My name is A.D. Atoli. It's just those two letters. I'm running for U.S. Congress District 1. I'm one of 4 candidates. And so the district, it's Louis Gohmert's old district, but they changed up the lines. So now it's going from the Oklahoma border all the way down to Sabine County. And then it's from Tyler all the way to Louisiana. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about who I am and then why I'm running, and then I'm going to open up the floor to questions, and y'all feel free to ask me about anything, all right, whether it's solutions for different issues or about me as a person or about the campaign in general, okay, complete open book. No politically correct stuff over here, all right? So, like I said, my name is A.D. Atoli. I'm from a town called Center. It's about 2 hours south of here. That's right, a small farming town. We actually played Gilmer in football because we're both 3A when I was in high school. I'll be turning 34 here in a few weeks. I graduated out of Center. I was a valedictorian there. And then I ended up going to Rice in Houston. I ended up being on the President's Honor Roll there. And so out of Rice, I wanted to go to Afghanistan to fight some Taliban, right? I saw the stories of what they're doing to Christian churches, what they're doing to women's schools. I thought it was disgusting. So I signed on the dotted line. I was 19 years old, but like they say, man plans, but God decides. So it ended up being 2016, so almost 8-9 years before I ended up going to the Marine Corps. So my first job out of college actually ended up, by complete accident, working for Congressman Louis Gohmert in his D.C. office. I did. I just dropped my resume off there. He's like, okay, we'll hire you. So I worked there for 5 whole months, and then I couldn't take it anymore. I love the congressman. He's a great guy to work for, by the way. I love the staff. I still keep in touch with a lot of them now. They're helping me with the campaign. But I hated the culture on Capitol Hill. It's exactly what you think it is. All right, so I left after 5 months. I moved back to East Texas, and I was doing my Marine application. And then I ended up doing a bunch of different short-term jobs. So I ended up building log houses with a preacher for almost a year. Then I was helping Shelby County Outreach Ministries, which is a Christian nonprofit that gets a bunch of churches together, and I helped them reorganize their management structure. But then I ended up roughnecking in the oil field. So, and that's what I did for years. So here's a guy, I scored 99th percentile nationally on my SATs, 99th percentile nationally on the ASVAB, the military entrance exam. And I'm out here pulling slips, slinging sledgehammers, and playing in oil-based mud with the boys. And I loved it. So I stayed there for years. I started out as a floor hand, and then I worked my way up to a motorman. That's the guy that fixes all the machinery on the rig. Then I became a derrick man. That's the person that goes up in the heights of the rig, fixes stuff, pulls pipe back. Then I ended up being a driller, which is the person that manages the whole operation. So for whatever reason, I was the age of 25. Patterson UTI made me the youngest driller on the rig and one of the youngest drillers in all of the West Texas division. And thank God, even though I was young and I was dumb and I was overly arrogant, and y'all know how young men are, I didn't get anyone hurt, thank God, on my crew at least. So so for those who have never been on an oil rig, it's roughly 15 stories high, metal structure, about an acre big. The rig I was on was roughly $25 million. So me and my buddies, we drilled multiple 3-4 mile deep oil and natural gas wells all through East Texas, North Texas, West Texas, and New Mexico. And so that was my main trade until the oil busts, start and all the layoffs start coming. And now I didn't have a job, so I finished up my application in the Marine Corps in 2016. And so I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina with 1st Battalion, 10th Marines as a Marine artillery officer. And there I was in charge of Marine units, mostly ground combat units, ranging from a little over 4 Marines to my biggest unit was a little over 100. And then I got out basically last year, and here we are. You know, and I guess the reason I'm running, the reason I'm doing this is I am absolutely disgusted with what we're seeing coming out of D.C. You know, the path that these career politicians and the swamp monsters have taken our country down is unacceptable. Right? The root cause of every issue that we argue about as a country, whether it's CRT, open borders, of a healthcare system that doesn't work for the middle class, public schools that don't work for a lot of communities, a society that no longer believes in biblical principles, a society that I don't know. You know, it's different metrics, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. And I will open up the floor to any questions, you know, and y'all feel free to chunk them. And I want to talk about solutions to each problem. I don't want to just complain because we've heard plenty of that. So that's the reason I'm running, is because we're all starting to realize that we're about to head off a cliff here. And the warning lights are flashing hard. And even the non-political folks are starting to understand this. So I know I'm not the only one running. I'm working with veteran candidates across the country. Guys like Joe Kent in Washington, Tony Cowden in North Carolina, guys like Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, the only Marine fired for criticizing Biden's Afghan withdrawal. That man was my former commanding officer. He has endorsed me. We're working together. And we're looking, the reason we're all running is because we wanted to fight our foreign enemies, and now we're understanding our enemies are domestic, right? And when I say fight, I am not talking about giving speeches. I'm not talking about fighting on Twitter. And I'm not talking about posting cool memes on Facebook that rip the Democrats or the rhinos or whatever. When I say fight, and when we say fight, we're talking about using military and business strategy in the political sphere to accomplish goals. And specifically what that means is analyzing the political landscape, finding the hills and valleys in policy ideas and proposals, finding out which policies would be actually accomplishable, finding other groups with the same self-interest, massing on certain focal points, and then putting pressure on these focal points to break through and achieve victory. Now, I can explain all that because I went to strategy school with the best large army military in the world, right? But we did the exact same things in the oil field before I knew what all this stuff was. But we just called it common sense, right? And the reason we don't see that in D.C. is the politicians and the career politicians and lawyers, et cetera, they don't want to accomplish tasks. They're there to see, what do I need to do right now to get more votes? And what do I need to do right now to get more donor money? But that's going to change, right? And I'm not the one that's going to change it. All of us are together.
But they have their own agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not for us.
That's right. It's not.
But one thing.
That's right. And we are a country that is in our nature and culture already. You know, we just need folks that think like that in D.C. You know, we're here to actually draw the line in the sand. Because these days here in 2021, when they talk about bipartisanship and unity, what they mean is the uniparty in D.C., Democrats and rhinos, getting together to screw the American public. So if we don't draw the line in the sand now, when are we going to do it? We're going to do it after the bus goes off the cliff? You can't. It's too late. Too late. So that's what this is about. So come January 2023, when I'm your congressman representing you in Northeast Texas in D.C. Day one, I'll be joining the Freedom Caucus, and I'll be fighting alongside guys like Jim Jordan and Chip Roy, MTG, Madison Cawthorn, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz. I mean, these are the folks that are actually doing it right. And I want to go there to be part of the team. And I'm working with all these other military candidates across the country now. And we're going to go force results. Right? Because I'll tell you what, are we going to win? Are Republicans going to win in 2022?
Yes.
Absolutely. Are we going to get the presidency back in 24?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now but if it's rhinos running the deal, are we going to get any change of results?
Nope.
We're not. That's right. So that's what it's about. And so my name is A.D. Atoli, U.S. Congress, Texas District 1. I am the only oil and gas or military or America First endorsed candidate out of the 4 guys running for Louis Gohmert's seat.